In this video, I'm going to be showing you how you can turn your existing list of leads that you initially thought were dead leads that we're never going to buy and turn them into a gold mine filled with happy paying customers. Now, I'm going to be covering that in this video, but if you have any questions, thoughts, or ideas you want to shoot my way, leave a comment down below, or you can shoot me a message through Instagram or Facebook. With that being said, let's dive into the video. Now, how to turn your dead leads into a cash flowing machine. So, your customers are the lifeline of your business. That's the bottom line. Therefore, if we want the business to survive and succeed, we need to generate leads and convert them. That's the main goal here. The problem is lots of shed businesses do not follow up with the leads they are generating. That's like hitting the gym every day, but not eating a clean diet. You're not sleeping well, you're not fitting in your macros, you're not hydrating yourself. All this is affecting ultimately your goals, right? So you're missing the most important step to reaching your final destination, your final goal. But what if they say no, right? What if those leads coming in, they say no? What if they say they're just looking and don't want to buy right away? You can't force them to buy a shed that they don't want to buy. So what do? That's exactly what we'll be covering in this training and in this document. You'll learn how to take a no and turn it into an eventual yes, whether it's a month from now, 6 months from now, or 2 years down the line. And it's going to help you not pay more on ads, right? So that's the main goal, getting more leads, converting them without paying more on leads. All right, so what typically happens with leads that don't buy on the first contact, right? So when a lead comes in, they give you a phone call, fills out your website form, or visits your lot. They're usually looking for a price. So then you give them a quote, they take a second to think about it and end up telling you, I need more time, or I need to think about it, or I need to talk to my spouse, or whatever the excuse is. Ideally, you'll try to sell them, but sometimes it doesn't happen. Like any sales business, you don't get the sales right away all the time. Now, what happens after is you never hear from them again, not because they don't ever reach back out, but because you never follow up with them. The lead then eventually buys somewhere else and you're missing out on business. This is affecting your revenue month after month and slowly killing your business. So here's just a diagram showing you what typically happens with shed businesses when they don't follow up and when they don't retarget their leads that are coming in, right? So the lead comes in, whether through phone call, website, or walking on your lot. You give them a quote, you give them the price of the shed that they're looking for. They tell you, not right now, or okay, we'll reach back out, thanks. And you never hear from them again. You don't follow up, and that equates to not getting the sale, right? So now I'm going to dive into what needs to happen in order for you to convert that lead. All right, so what needs to happen to resurrect those dead leads and convert them into happy paying customers? When a lead comes in, the very first thing you need to look for is their contact information. You need to make sure you acquire that so that you can retarget them, right? How else will you retarget and follow up with them? Once you have that information, whether they buy a shed or not, you have a way to contact them again and retarget them. Therefore, the lead never dies. Then when a lead tells you they need more time, what you want to do is follow up with them. And we call this the initial follow-up sequence. You want to consistently follow up with them and answer any questions that they may have to secure the sale. This follow-up sequence should last anywhere between 7 to 14 days. Whether you're calling every day until they respond through SMS, through email, all those touching points is going to help you convert them at a higher rate. In some cases, they're going to tell you to reach back at a later date. So you just take note of that and set a reminder for that lead or for that contact to get in contact with them at a later date or at that date. What if they flat out say no, right? And that's going to be okay because a no today may mean a yes tomorrow, right? In the future, right? So that's what a lot of people, when they get their first no, they completely neglect reaching back out to that lead because they think they're never going to buy a shed again or look for a shed ever again, right? So that's what we're going to do is going to add them into a long-term nurture sequence. This will keep you top of mind for when they are prepared to make the purchase. This will allow you to stay in front of them, and when they decide the time is right, that's when you're there to sell them. So here's a short breakdown of what the whole process is going to look like, right? So step number 1 is going to be acquiring their name, number, and email. And number 2, if they need more time, add them into an initial follow-up sequence. And then 3, if they say no, then that's when you add them into a long-term nurture sequence. So this is what it's going to look like in a diagram. So what needs to happen is when a lead comes in, you want to make sure you're capturing their info. This could be either before you give their price of the shed that they're looking for or after, right? But regardless, you want to make sure you're capturing their information, name, number, and email. You give them the quote, they tell you, I don't want to buy right now, give me some time, or okay, I'll reach back out, thanks. right? And that's when you want to attach them into the initial follow-up sequence. Once you add them into the initial follow-up sequence, you hopefully will get the sale. If you don't get the sale and they push you off or they say no, that's when you add them into a long-term nurture sequence, and down the line, when the time is right, that's when you sell them on the shed or on the product. Now, how does a long-term email nurture sequence work? This is a sequence of emails that can go on for 6 months, a year, or however long you want it to go. Every email is typically spaced out between 1 to 2 weeks apart and are automated. So you don't really have to worry about that. You want to make sure just to add them to the sequence and then let the emails do the work. So how does this convert to more sales? The goal here is using the email nurture sequence is consistently staying in front of your potential buyers so that when the time is right, you are there to scoop them up. These emails can be promotions, helpful tips, reviews from customers, and covering any objections you think that they might have. This will distinguish you as an authority in the industry and set you apart from the rest, because most shed businesses aren't doing this. Now, let's dive into the structured email sequence that you can use in your business. So I'm going to cover this in chunks. So the first phase is going to be reopen the door, and it's going to be from emails 1 through 4, right? So the goal here for the first 4 emails is to reduce resistance, reframe the no, and keep the conversation alive, right? So for example, number 1 is going to be a no pressure check-in, which is going to acknowledge their decision and let them know if they have any questions to reach back out to you. Number 2 is why most people don't buy right away, where you're going to normalize the delays, whether it's timing, money, planning, spouse approval, and just remove the shame or the pressure from them from buying. Then email number 3, what usually changes people's minds later on, which is a subtle future pacing and plants the seed of curiosity without really pitching them. And then number 4, the 4th email, is just a quick reminder of what your company actually does, right? So just giving a clear, simple explanation of your sheds and your services. This is going to focus on the outcomes and not the specs of your products. So like I mentioned before, these are going to be spaced out between 1 to 2 weeks. So it really depends on how frequently you want to send them. All right, next you have is phase 2. I'm just going to cover the main components of each email because there's several emails here. So phase 2 is going to be education and building authority. So that's going to be through emails 5 and 9. And the goal here is to become a trusted expert, not just another shed company. So number 5 is going to be common shed buying mistakes to avoid. The 6th email is how to choose the right shed size. Most people guess wrong. Materials explained without the boring stuff. So these can also be the subject line of the emails as well. Permits and zoning and HOA realities. Custom versus pre-built sheds, honest pros and cons. And then phase 3, objection handling. So this is going to be a good one to send out to your list. Emails 10 to 14. Goals. The goal here is to quietly address the reasons they said no, right? So whether it's too expensive, reframing that, timing objections, space concerns, spouse decision, partner hesitation, what happens after the install. So those are very good emails covering the objections that they might have. Then phase 4 is social proof and stories. So that's the reviews, your customers, and how happy they are. So the goal here is to let customers sell for you. So 15, you have customer story. We almost didn't buy, just like a headline of one of your customers' stories. Before and after transformations, unexpected uses for sheds, why customers choose you specifically. And then phase 5 is a soft re-engagement from emails 19 and 22, inviting them to take action without putting pressure on them. So the first email we have here is still thinking about a shed. Next one is planning a checklist, even if you buy later. What most buyers wish they asked sooner, seasonal or timing-based considerations, and life changes that trigger shed purchases. With that being said, that's going to be all the emails that are going to be sent out when the lead is considered a dead lead, and this is going to be used to reactivate them. And here I made the long-term email nurture sequence as a template so that you can just input your business information, some details about your business so that you can use for your business, right? So if you want a copy of this, just DM me the word nurture or comment down below or just shoot me a DM and I'll send this over to you. So you'll get this, you'll get the training. And if you have any questions about this, make sure you leave them down in the comments. With that being said, using this long-term nurture sequence will allow you to stay in front of potential customers, have no additional ad spend, and revive those dead leads you thought were gone and convert them into happy paying customers. So with that being said, that's the end of the training. And if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. If you want me to cover other topics regarding the shed business or your business specifically, let me know and I'll do my best to get that done. With that being said, I'll see you in the next video.